Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with another video to kind of observe and talk about here. Today, we're looking at a short clip. Uh, Give me a moment here. It's on the Divine Names channel. So, if you want to check it, I'll be going ahead and posting this link in the description box below the video as always. But as it says on the screen, Dr. Cornel West explains critical race theory. Uh, West is a brilliant, brilliant man. And a lot of people seem to be so miseducated on what critical race theory actually is. So, in this, he kind of goes through explaining what it actually
So
is.
let me bring up a big fight that was on display recently in American politics, and that's the fight about critical race theory. I'm not sure that there are many people, even in this audience, who can define it, to be quite honest. And I was shocked the other day to see half of Republicans in a Monmouth poll said they oppose teaching the history of racism in U.S. schools. I don't know how you teach about the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. I don't know how you teach about President Lincoln or the Civil War. I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, think about it. All of it derives directly from this issue of racist ideology in America, which is a big portion, I mean, of what race theory is. Critical race theory. Now, the one that's often talked about is often the one that's taught in higher education. But yeah, in general, well, listen to them explain it.
Anyway, clearly, this is a point of political rage at the moment. Professor West, let me ask you to begin here. How do you deal with something like this? Especially when people will say, you know what, that's it for me, I'm out of here, or I'll attack my school board member.
What does critical race theory mean to you? What do you associate it with? Because, I wrote the foreword to the text, right? Critical race theory, 1992, Kimberly Crenshaw, Kendall Thomas, they asked me to write the foreword. And the foreword is, we all have the lens through which we view the world. No theory is kind to us that cheats us of seeing. We have to be able to see all the different dimensions, all the different aspects and facets of America, which is the best and the worst, the mountaintops and the valleys, the ugliness and the beauty. That's true for every social experiment, not just the United States. That's true for ourselves, inside of our soul, the best and the worst. So when a Republican brothers come to me and say, oh, critical race, I don't want to have anything to do with racism, I say, oh, well, let's get to your wound. Let's get to ways in which you feel as if that very phrase pulls the rug from under you.
Yeah. See what I'm talking about. As I mentioned, it's mostly dealing with the effect of racism in the world and specifically how it has affected people that were brought here as slaves, Africans, and are now most of your modern day African Americans. But yeah.
And I'd have to listen to see what they have to say. Then I would say, now, let's see what kind of loving correction I can enact to get you to see that critical race theory is simply one set of lens that looks at the world, looks at America through the lens of those who were enslaved, Jim Crow, Jane Crow, lynched, discriminated against, degraded, debased. And then look at what they produced. Musically, artistically, politically, spiritually. You see. And what they produced is part of the very leaven in the American democratic loaf. That's the crucial thing. If black folk had produced a massive movement of the Ku Klux Klan when they were being terrorized, there'd be no American democracy. America would have gone fascist a long time ago. But here come Martin King, here comes Fannie Lou Hamer, here comes Ella Baker. What is it about these folk that their dominant leadership looks at the world through the lens of their own suffering and connects their suffering with the suffering of others? Multiracial solidarity, human connection, and so forth. That's a moral and spiritual issue.
Yeah. I mean, often one thing you'll see is to take any pressure off them or as a tendency to lash out, they'll attack other groups who are suffering as well, people who struggle as well, or even struggle more. You'll see many people blame, oh, it's immigration, they're taking jobs, they're messing everything up. Most of them are escaping devastating issues in their own country. And a lot of them come here looking, you know, for asylum, looking for help. They aren't here just to mess up someone else's life. But, I guess it seems that if people feel they have something to point a finger at, to put all their frustration out against, yeah, it helps take pressure off them. Um, yeah,
It's not just political. But once you lose that moral and spiritual dimension, then it's just all Machiavellian all the way down. There's power, 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 and nobody wins. That eye for eye, blind, tooth for tooth, toothless, that Brother Martin used to talk about, you see. So we'd have to create a context where people can get a sense that critical race theory is not this kind of fetishized entity that is an attack on me, that attack on my whiteness and so forth. I'm going to be white. I was born white. I'm dying white. John Brown was white. Miles Horton was white, whose wife co-wrote "We Shall Overcome," which is the anthem of the Black Freedom Movement. And we haven't even got to Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who could write a telegram to the president and say, we need to forfeit our right to worship unless we treat these Negroes with dignity and sanctity. And he wrote that the day he was going to show up in the White House. And I said, you don't get that kind of prophetic witness these days. No. So that whiteness can't be reduced to white supremacy. You got a whole lot of white brothers and sisters fighting against white supremacy. They just got a lot of cousins who never got the memo. That's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Mr. George.
so yeah, like I was saying, all it is just a look at how the racial aspect of things really affect people. And if you want to understand it, this is one of the best people to understand it from. I mean, he's been a professor, a really relevant speaker. He knows about it. Like he mentioned earlier, he wrote the foreword to a book on critical race theory. It's not something to come at and hate. The idea, the actual term itself is from college courses. They were never being taught in high school and grade school to begin with. But the whole idea really is just, you know, it examines the effects that racism and certain policies have had on our country, how it's shaped the direction it's went. But yeah, but I figured it was something to kind of look into today since, it's something we hear all a lot about. Oh, that critical race theory. Oh, that critical. It's evil. We don't want that taught in our school. First of all, the actual course of critical race theory is not taught to your children in elementary and secondary school. It's a collegiate course. But the whole idea behind it is just, you know, how racism and race interplays to help shape how the U.S. has grown, how it's affected, uh, usually people of a minority race. But yeah, I'll go ahead and end this one here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting this source in the description box below the video. But, as always, thank you for watching. See you all in the next one. Until then, later.